This is all about helping to stack the odds in our favor long term. And so the title of this talk, if you will, is how to help us create an unfair advantage. And I'm going to share with you how I think about this process and how we share this process with our clients here. So oftentimes we approach nutrition or we approach dieting as if we are gambling, right? As if I think perhaps the average person was gambling, right? And let's be honest, like most people are not successful with gambling. Most people lose. There's a reason, casinos make so much money, right? But so what do? We walk into casino and, we sit down and we throw all of our chips down, depending on what the game is. And we hope and we pray that things work out. And of course, rarely do they, right? So obviously people do win because there's professional gamblers. And so what is it that separates them from us, the average gambler? And what is it that we need to do to increase the odds in our favor, especially as it pertains to gambling? So if I were to think about gambling, I would think, okay, well, I know a thing or two. I've won a few times. And certainly the weekend I met Christy and I won. So what do we need to do if we're thinking about gambling? Well, obviously we need to choose the right game, right? So we know very clearly games like blackjack and like poker have the highest odds of winning versus things like the slot machines or like the stupid Wheel of Fortune, big roller thing. I don't even know what you call that, right? So if we want to win, obviously we'd be better off playing blackjack or poker. Okay, that's really good to know, right? So number two is they understand, people that do well gambling understand the variables at play and who is it that they're actually playing against. Are they playing against the dealer, against the house? Are they playing against other players as in poker? So who is it that we're actually playing against? Additionally, they have enough experience or they pay attention to the cards being dealt. Now, naturally, if I was someone who could count cards, I would have a massive unfair advantage. And despite not being able to count cards, I can choose how many decks. If I'm playing blackjack, I can choose a table that has a minimal amount of decks, how frequently they're shuffling the shoes. I can pay attention to how the other players at the table are playing and whether they're actually making smart decisions or not, because potentially that would influence what happens in my hand. If you've ever played blackjack, you understand that, invariably there's some dipshit at the end of the table who's wasted and he's hitting, a 12 when the dealer's showing a 2 or whatever, something like that, right? So it's important to be paying attention to all of the variables that could potentially influence our ability to win. Now, they also have a very clear objective in mind, right? Is when I sit down at the table, I have an objective of I'm going to be able to walk away, or I'm going to walk away at 500 or 1,000 or $5,000. I'm not sitting down just assuming that I'm going to walk away with $50,000 or $1 million or whatever. That would be completely irrational, right? And so having a very clear objective of what is it that you're trying to accomplish. And then most important beyond all of this is they've put in the time and the effort to become a better player, right? If you've ever seen the World Series of Poker, all of these players have spent years upon years playing, incessantly playing to help develop their skills. It's about much more than luck at this point. Of course, luck is involved, but the odds of them winning at any given day are much higher for them because they have developed the skills. And so I think it's so important to acknowledge this, that if we want to be successful in anything, we need to take the time to develop the skills to have that unfair advantage. And this is what the process is all about. It's about exposing you to the highest ROI variables that, when given enough time, energy, attention, practice, will yield the very best results possible. So, of course, you can decide to lose weight and you can go do a juice fast, or you can go sign up for Optavia and eat the ridiculously expensive and disgusting bars and shakes, right? And kind of keep your fingers crossed that you're creating a big enough calorie deficit and that's going to do it for you. Or you can intermittently starve yourself or do any one of these things that could potentially be seen as low yield activities, as the slot machine or the Wheel of Fortune game of kind of the dieting world. Like, yeah, you'll get lucky once in a while. You may get lucky short term, but if you keep rolling it, you're going to lose all of your money, right? And so what we need to do is we need to find the games that are going to stack the odds in your favor with your nutrition decisions. And this is why it's so important to focus on the things that, by virtue of you trying to master and not giving yourself permission to quit, will help you have that unfair advantage when it comes to your nutrition, your training, and your long-term results. And so here are the things that we view, and that we try and impart on our clients. And when I look at all of the clients that are successful in our coaching program, these are kind of the things that they have, the skills that they develop through the process that gives them an unfair advantage amongst anyone else or any other dieting programs. Now, number one, and this applies to everything in life, but it's taking responsibility for your intake in some capacity, right? So this is what I'm trying to teach you guys through this short-term challenge. It's taking responsibility for your intake. Track your calories in some capacity. Take pictures of your food. Just write down in a journal. Track it in the Chronometer app. Look up the menu ahead of time. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But be proactive and take responsibility for your intake so that you can make better decisions. Okay? 2, control your schedule and establish your non-negotiables. What are the things that you are committing to, and what are the things that you absolutely are saying no to? Right? That in and of itself is a huge differentiator amongst the people that are successful and the people that aren't. Okay. Additionally, is we have a strong social support system. You guys have all seen the value of the Facebook group over the past couple of weeks, the recipes being shared, the encouragement, the progress being made, the struggles being shared. It's very, very powerful. And if we're surrounded by people and relationships that aren't in line with our values and our goals, we're going to have a very hard time getting there. That's just the reality of it. That's just the reality. And that's why we need to be able to surround ourselves with, like, the community, the Smart Nutrition Made Simple community, with like-minded people who have the same objectives and goals so that we can feed off of each other. It's not my job as your coach to kind of be your roo-roo, rah-rah person and to motivate you. And it's not, frankly, it's not everyone else's job to motivate you, but we are here to support you, right? So that we can help you make the best decisions possible, and so that you can feel supported when things feel hard, because they're going to, and they need to, because that's when we get better, right? And we create an optimistic outlook. We went to an amazing steakhouse for dinner on Saturday night with my business partner and our wives. And I plugged it in ahead of time, and it was like 3,000 calorie meal. Now, of course, I could have been like, well, I screwed the pooch for the whole week and for the rest of the weekend, just eating garbage, and said, you know what, I'll start again Monday. But I didn't, because one, that's not who I am. And also because it was very strategic. It was very planned. It was very deliberate. And regardless, is even if I'd gone out somewhere and inadvertently eaten a few slices of pizza and ice cream, and perhaps it wasn't my intention, but I did it anyways. Well, how do you approach those situations? What's the mindset around that? So we find that people who have an optimistic outlook and who look at those opportunities to make better decisions instead of say screw it, are the ones that are going to be more successful. Now, additionally, we create an unfair advantage by having an internal compass around, 1, delayed gratification, and 2, deliberate decision making. Right? When we went out to dinner and I had a 35 or 3,000 calorie meal, it was very deliberate. But within that, it also was delayed gratification of of knowing all week long that that's going to be a pretty big meal over the weekend. And I'm going to enjoy every bit of it, which I certainly did. Okay. So as opposed to going to a party, seeing all of the yummy snacks in front of you, having no plan of attack and eating everything in sight and then feeling terrible about it. And then falling off the wagon for the rest of the weekend and starting again Monday or not starting again, for another month or so. So being very deliberate about the decisions that we make. We firmly believe in flexibility and freedom, but it doesn't mean that you can always have your cake and eat it too. Now, additionally, you have an unfair advantage by when you prioritize your values and results over other people's insecurities. And one of the women in the group shared with us, which was so powerful. She shared with us how kind of reticent she was to spend time with family members over the weekend because they were total alcohol pushers. And so it was really just about clarifying, well, where are her values? What's important to her? What's her long-term goals? And helping frame that oftentimes when people push things on us, it's really just them rationalizing their own insecurities and their own discomfort around the fact that by us not choosing to partake in the things that we know are going to be detrimental, it's actually making them uncomfortable. And so in order for them to not feel so uncomfortable about their decisions by virtue of our values, they're going to try and push that down our throat. And obviously by standing up for ourselves, we can continue to reinforce those values, those decisions, and we can build kind of the confidence around being able to consistently make those decisions, which is an extremely powerful tool to be able to have, especially when we feel like we are a people pleaser and crave during social interaction. And then lastly, as I alluded to, is people who have an unfair advantage have a strategic plan. They have a strategic plan of attack. When you sit down at the poker table, you have a very clear objective. You know how much you want to walk away with. If obviously you are able to walk away with chips, but that's stacking the odds in your favor so that you don't get to that 500 you said and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep pushing it, because that's when you lose. So we need to be able to continually reinforce that. And that's what we do through our coaching program. And if you're in the challenge, that's what we're going to help you do through your individualized nutrition and lifestyle assessment, is simply just look at, hey, where were you before? Where are you now? Where do you want to go? Here's the things that have gone well. Here's what you're struggling with. Let's just build you a realistic roadmap to help you get there on your own. If you're watching this and you're feeling discouraged, then good. I'm glad you're feeling discouraged to the degree that I want you to be able to acknowledge those emotions. And I want you to be able to step up and make the decision to continue to step into the discomfort of feeling like things are difficult, I'm not doing well, and really embracing it and determining what is it you can focus on to improve your ability to be consistent, whether it's just committing to avoiding alcohol, whether it's just committing to drinking more water, whether it's just committing to hitting a step goal, whatever that is. You have to acknowledge when you feel like you're not doing well and what you can be doing better, and then take as long as you need to master that skill. And then, and only then, you move on to the next one, and then the next one. And that is how you create an unfair advantage, so that you never have to feel like the only way you can win is by throwing all of your chips down, crossing your fingers, and hoping to get lucky, right? And so that's what obviously we want to be able to help you with. That's what we're leveraging these core 4 pillars for, because if you can build these into your lifestyle, if you can become the type of person who takes responsibility for their nutrition decisions, it doesn't mean you have to track all of the time, but it does mean you need to be cognizant, because at no point are we ever able to eat and drink whatever we want with no repercussions. That's just not the real world. And that's just eating like an asshole, not eating like an adult, right? And so taking responsibility for our intake, working to establish protein goals, enjoying the process of moving on a daily basis, enjoying how you feel when you eat enough of the right things at your meals, actually eating meals and not snacking in between, setting yourself up for success by prioritizing your sleep routine so that you can thrive in every other aspect of your life. These are all the fundamental pillars that are going to help you create an unfair advantage. So thank you guys for taking the time. Let's make it a fantastic week. Let me know what you guys need help with. Let our coaches know what you need help with. Appreciate every one of you, and I will catch you guys in the group. Make it a great evening.